Man, maybe it's not an extra.
Now we have our technical difficulties. We think under control, guys. Hi, I am Letonya Moore. This is Real Perspectives. What you just heard was someone sipping some tea. My co-host, Gareth Hunter. He's the co-host for today. Single and loving it, or perpetually single. We also have our resident sexpert, Miss Yolanda Tucker, and we have Jean Day, who is our therapist, our resident therapist. So as you know, today is February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. So this particular topic is timely, don't you think, guys?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So I think where we should start is what do you guys take on single and loving it, or perpetually single? Because I believe that society pushes us to being in a relationship, or especially when you get to a certain age, you should be married by now. So what do you guys think about that?
I think you're absolutely right, because today is my birthday and I turned 41 today, and I've never been married. And like you said, a lot of people's like, what do you mean you're not married? Why aren't you married? We can't find a man.
Girl, they ask you what was wrong with you?
Yeah, and I have a lot of men that ask me that. What's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with me. What the hell wrong with you?
That's what you said.
Yeah.
You be out there, don't you?
Yeah. But I think you're absolutely right, and especially for the younger generation, because they're being pushed into marriage so quickly. And a lot of them, it doesn't last. Yeah, you might meet someone and marry them at 18 and be married for 50 years. But if we think about the statistics, that's unlikely.
That's a good point. So, Jean, what has been your experience? Because that I certainly can identify with that. What's your experience?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've had dating disasters.
Well, tell us.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been single for a while, but one of the barriers that I found is just that the men that I dated really wanted to be intimate very soon, after meeting them. And dating just briefly, and so I kind of was like I needed to step back and say, I didn't want to go that route, and so it makes it hard, to date, because there's certain expectations I think that come along with it.
I agree with you. I'm sorry, but that's women's fault. That's our fault, because it's so many women that will jump into bed with a man if you won't do it. Because I'm like you, I don't necessarily have a time limit. But if I like you, then it may happen on the first date. But if I don't like you, it may not. But it shouldn't be a time limit there.
Well, we gotta get a male perspective on this, because you guys have brought up several different points. Because I'm like the first date, but go ahead. What do you think about that? I mean, you're making all these faces, so you might as well go ahead. Go ahead.
You can talk about that mess in the other room.
In the green room, you see, this is what happens when men get called to the task. They decide they're gonna drink a sip of tea.
Okay,
go ahead.
Put the tea down.
No, because look, wise men, they listen, and then we respond. I was just hearing you saying about the first date. You might give it up, or you might not. So,
well, if you're gonna be a booty call, then maybe. But if I'm looking for a relationship, then no, I'm not gonna give it up on the first date. But if all you're gonna be is a booty call, then it's a possibility.
Oh.
But it seems like if they take you out to dinner, and especially if they spend a lot of money, then there's expectations there.
But because women do that. Because there are so many, because if you want, baby, the next one will.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't, you got a good meal, a nice, expensive,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, just one meal.
But you ain't hungry for that day, for that day at that moment. But that's a really good point. So, Gareth, if you could speak to,
come on.
Well, first of all, one, do you think it's a reality that when men go out with a woman and they spend money and they do certain things, that there's an expectation of sex?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I mean, that's reality, but I think what's not really being chimed on is that a lot of times it's an expectation of sex from both people.
Okay.
There's that tone is set by it happening before. If men went out on a date with women, and women have more of a trend of saying no or not putting that out on the table as an option, then most men would not be so prone to expect that with the next date. So it's a two-way street, from my understanding, from what I've come what I've heard.
But I also think just to speak to that as well, that's something that you have to kind of know up front. Like if you're talking to a man and you guys are kind of getting to know each other, blah, 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 if you're having sexual type of conversations before this date, I mean, you might know, I mean, men are simple creatures, and that's not dumb or stupid or anything, but they don't do a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? They don't see women, we think, we plan, we got all this. Men just like, yeah, I'm going.
Right.
And they're gonna go with the flow. So however far you let them go from, it all starts with the conversation, I believe. You know, I think that if that's what your conversation is, you're talking about sex, what you like, and all that sort of stuff, lots of times that's why it's kind of pushed into that direction. But if you give off the vibe like, yeah, you know, it's not going down, at least not right now, I think that you can kind of push some of that off. Now, having said that, if you want a good meal at a really nice restaurant and you know that, you know, you've had these conversations and you know that he is probably going to want sex, just don't do it. But, you know, don't tell him no until
Get the free meal.
Get the free meal. You gonna feed me? Okay, I like to eat.
Right. But you know what? These days and ages, it's so difficult. I find for even a man to invite you on a date, because men are so accustomed to women. You know, they invite you over to their house, fix you food, you know, and lay the spread out, legs and all, and then, you know, you go on about your way. So in my experience, it's very unusual for a man to step forward and say, hi, how are you? You know, what's your name? I'd like to take you out on a date.
But why is that though?
Yeah, and that's not, I wouldn't say unusual.
Well,
for me, it is.
Oh, you saying personally?
Me,
oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But
yeah.
you said most men find you intimidating.
And men tell me that. I have no idea why. I still don't know.
Because you're
about
very
what you're saying.
What's wrong with being vocal though?
Oh, I think it's good for a man that can handle it though. A lot of, I don't think it's a man-woman thing. It's a lot of people that can't handle somebody that's a good communicator. With me, I'm considered to be more feminine when it comes to communication. That's what people told me. I talk more than the average man does in a relationship. So for some reason, I usually attract a woman that don't talk. They like to shut down and shut up and like to assume and all that. So opposites attract, I guess, sometimes with that.
Well, I guess so. If I shut down, then you have a problem.
Right.
There is an issue there if I shut down, because I'm done at that point. And that's not where you want me to be. You want me to talk. Right. Now, you know, I'm in this environment, but I'm not always as talkative. I can listen as well. But if I shut down, we done.
So, Jean, what's been your experience?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've had one of my last dates I went on was watching TV behind my head while I was trying to converse with him. And, you know, I was just having to keep the conversation going. But a lot of times I do think that it's just, in my experience, there's just a lack of, it's very rare that I meet someone and talk to them and feel the need to make a second date or generate any real interest in them. You know, it takes me a little while. And so, but when I've gone on these dates, I just have been perpetually disappointed, you know, because they just don't seem to be listening to what I have to say, or they're not paying attention, or I have to carry the conversation. Or if we do get through dinner, they're, like I said, if they spend money at an expensive restaurant, then there's the expectation that, you know, something more needs to happen.
But how do you know there's an expectation?
Because they make their moves.
Do they flat out? I mean, they're not coming across the table. That's right. But they're saying something at some point.
Yeah.
All right. So do y'all come together to the restaurant?
No.
So y'all come in separate vehicles.
Yeah.
And when you're leaving, that's when you say, "Hey, I need something back on that drink."
Or just they might say something like, "Well, you know, are we going to go back to your house?"
Yeah. No.
You know, so that's been my experience.
But this is after they pay, or is this Dutch? Like what are we talking about?
They pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you experienced that more with let's say 4-star restaurants, or like say if you meet somebody like at Mickey D's, you know what I'm saying? do you find that they still try to get
Like they pull off from the drive-through, like, yeah, I'm waiting.
No,
on you.
not
Right.
at all. We're not even going on a date to Mickey D, so let's not even go.
But I'm saying maybe I'm just trying to see if there's a certain type of restaurant that this happens.
So,
and if that's the case, you might need to drop down a level.
No, absolutely not. He's trying to tell you to lower your standards. Let me tell you something. This might be the only good meal that you get that somebody else gonna pay for.
Greedy.
And I'm definitely not gonna be McDonald's.
That's right. So it's listen. But in all seriousness, do you think that experience may be because of the type of person that you may be dating, or do you find that there's a certain personality type that you're attracting when this happens?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I definitely have certain types of men that I'm attracted to. And I tried the online dating thing, and I mean, the first, their introduction usually to me was like, hey, baby, what's up? Or something like that. And so just right off the bat, it was just like, I felt, it rubbed me the wrong way. I just thought they were being too
Creepy.
Yeah.
I feel like a piece of meat.
Exactly. Yeah.
They are creepy. Online dating can be creepy, and I mean, it sounds like you've had a pretty decent experience. I've had people just send me pictures of their body parts.
Oh wow.
I've had that. Yeah, I've had
Did
that.
you like it when they sent it? I mean, if somebody's I'm being serious, because if somebody is gonna do something like that uninvited, you know what? They should get a really nice or not so nice message back. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone sent me something like that unsolicited, I would say, hey, I like big gifts.
I personally don't critique it. What I do is I save it in my phone, and then me and my girls, I have a collection.
What are you doing?
Like when it's girl night, we be like, I'm like, girl, look at him. And then my coworkers be like, don't even turn that phone on. They be like, don't do it.
So you just walking with porn in your phone.
Well, it's not necessarily porn, but it's definitely close to it.
Explicit.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's wrong with sending body parts as long as they're not ashy.
It's not necessarily that I think I wouldn't personally send body parts, because one day I might want to run for mayor of Senate. So
Right.
that's just.
And you
me.
just said on Live Lab that you walk around with penises
No,
in
they're
your phone.
not my. But I
It's
don't
not
have a
necessarily
penis.
being, she might have a
Yeah,
podcast.
I don't have a penis.
Oh,
So it's not mine. But yeah, I have them. I was actually.
Like you get ready to show us.
I'll show you all that. I'm not going to show you. No, but yes, I have them. It's a collection. I'm like, okay, and I can I'm really good at telling. I'm like, okay, yeah, he buy this, he buy that, because I get so many.
I can't say it. What's it say? I'm about to. I thought you were going to bring the whole screen. Did you hear it to us?
We have a question on the screen. Georgette, what does that say? Georgette is our technical person.
This one here
Yes.
says, and if so, how much do you like KFC on a scale on 1 to 10?
What?
KFC.
No, you gotta.
That one.
Okay, so somebody asked a question about KFC.
Yes.
On
I like KFC, but I don't want to go there on a date.
I don't want to go there on a date either.
10, but not on a date. I can buy my own KFC.
But why? But I wanted to ask that question. I think you may have answered it. But why not KFC, or why not McDonald's? Like, why are we opposed to fast food?
That's right. That's right. That's a
Well,
good
first
question.
of all, I don't eat fast food myself, so I'm not gonna let you take me somewhere that I don't eat.
Okay.
One, like I say, I'll eat KFC, but I don't eat McDonald's, so you're not gonna take me to McDonald's. And I'm special. Why can't you take me to Applebee's or Chili's? It doesn't have to be Ruth's Chris. But I think
Yes, they do if they want some nookie.
What? Okay. But what I'm saying is, it's not gonna be. You're gonna take me to get me a bag.
That's not gonna
But we
happen.
keep talking about as if the man is responsible for taking the woman out on a date. Now, in this modern day age, 2016,
I ain't inviting a man.
you have a
on
lot of
date.
women.
No.
But what's wrong? Now, I think something's wrong with that. I ain't cool
Okay.
with that.
What?
But what's wrong with that?
Taking them to McDonald's?
If a woman wants to be the
Is it the first
aggressive
date?
initiator.
Is it the first
Might
date?
be the first date.
No,
might be the third date.
I
'Cause
guess
I'm
I'm
gonna tell you
a
something.
old-fashioned
I've experienced women going out with me, and they expect something at the end of the night.
I can relate
Of course
to that.
I do.
I'm
just playing.
But he's not playing.
He doesn't, and clearly he doesn't have a problem with that. And I think that's sort of what we're saying is, listen, if you go out, whether you even decide you want to go on, you might not want to even go on the date. You might not want to do anything except
a booty call.
Right.
If that's what people decide to do, I think as adults, that's fine.
I have no issue with that.
I don't either.
But I think that what we're sort of talking about more from a topical basis is how society views dating and about being single. Like you mentioned in the introduction, and I know we probably had very similar experiences. You know, you're X number of years old and you've never been married. Like, what's wrong with you? There is an expectation, I believe, that women of a certain age should at least have been married once.
Right.
I mean, that's just what I think. And so I think for me, it's a deeper issue because that, I believe, leads into a lot of this, maybe sex on the first date, if that's not what you want to do, because of that pressure. You feel like, well, I need to do this because that's going to make him want to be with me and that's going to make him like me.
Well, honey, I'm here to tell you it's not. But let me say this. It ain't. They gonna get it, because for a man, a coochie is a coochie.
Yeah.
It doesn't. There ain't no good coochie or bad coochie. It's coochie.
Well, not necessarily.
Let her finish. We'll let you speak to that. That's a good point. That's a good point.
At the end of the night, you still get the same result. So y'all don't really care. I have a lot of male friends. I don't care. But so that doesn't keep a man. A baby not gonna keep a man. None of that keeps a man. A man has to want to be with you.
That's true.
Now let me go back and speak on what you said about earlier. Yes, society says that we should be married at our age, at my age. But I am not willing to sacrifice or give in and just take any old thing. I would love to be married. I would love to be in a committed relationship, but I ain't gonna take any old he that came up. That's not gonna happen.
Now,
I'm worthy of
what's
more.
what's your perspective about marriage? I know we've had some conversations before. I'm just wondering if that's changed. Well, I want you to share with everybody else, because I know how you.
You know my views on
yeah,
that.
but let's share it with the viewers.
Well, for me personally, I just like, I don't know that I want to be married. And so I've pretty much, I would enjoy a relationship where he had his own place, I have my own place, and then we come together when we want to see each other, and then we go back to our respective homes. And I could see that being long term for me. And
Well,
a lot of people find that
legitimate booty call.
strange. Huh?
A legitimate booty call.
No, well, having a
You got your that's your designated booty call, a committed booty call.
Oh. Okay, dear.
But this goes to a deeper issue, and it's one that we've talked about before, which is why I was asking her about that. Because when we look at open relationships, that's big now. They ain't no strings. We just do what we do. We just come together. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about actually being married and your husband lives in another location?
No, not being married.
Still single. You're just dating exclusively, and you have separate
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. And just being able to come together when you want to spend time together, but having your own places to live. And that's why I said I'm not into the whole traditional relationship, but I've always been comfortable. When I've dated men in the past, I've always been comfortable with them having their own life and their friends and what they do, as long as they gave me the same respect, I don't really do the booty call thing, maybe when I was younger. I'm 41 now. I probably did it a few times when I was younger.
You always go back, sister.
But, it's not, I'm not interested in that. I can go, sex is just not that, and I hate to say this, but it's just not that important to me.
Right.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
It's that important to me.
That's what I'm looking at. Go ahead, chime in on that.
But you had some comments. We're not gonna let you off the hook because you had some comments. She made some comments about the differences. I don't know exactly how she said it.
Just like Gucci same thing.
Okay.
It's not though. It's not.
So, educate us.
Yes,
Educate us.
Man, I get into this one.
You said it.
All right. So first of all, let's be realistic, and this is what a lot of men might know and might not know. Okay. First of all, good or bad is going to be dictated off of the level of attraction the man has for the woman. Starts physical. So if she looks good, automatically, she's already 90% of the game as far as whether or not it's going to be good. Now, when she opens her mouth and says something, depending on what he's in for and what he wants, and what the woman might be physically attracted to the level to where he's like, this type of woman I just want to have sex with, type of woman I want to take home to mom. That's what she appears to be like. So if her mouth opens up and matches that, then that increases the physical attraction. Now, let's go to hygiene.
Absolutely.
If you are a woman that comes home after a long, hard day and you skip the shower, you go to bed instead, and you take a shower in the morning before you go to work, you're going to have bad coochie. It's just not going to work out well.
No, you just going to have bad smelling coochie.
No, but we are odorific people. Men, we inhale while we having sex. We do that. So if what is going on does not have what I'm saying is, if there's an older issue because of hygiene, it's not going to be good. Then it's maintenance and upkeep as far as the hedges around the bushes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know, we're not in the 60s no more. We ain't looking for buckwheat coming out of the ground. And that's what we're very visual.
And so I get that, but what I'm saying
is, moisture level too now. You gotta be pH balanced.
At the end of the day, you guys get the same result. We don't have that.
So wait, hold on. Let's get to that. Let me see. She's talking about something different. Finish what
I'm saying pH balance. You gotta have the right moisture level. You know, if it's dry as a desert, man, it's not gonna be.
Get some KY jelly.
And if you get the old school KY, it's gonna be all clumped up after about 10 minutes. Hey, look.
Okay. We messed up. Hey,
hold on. KY jelly should not be used in a relationship until you get nursing home in it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, but one interesting thing, seriously though, because now that we've sort of skipped single or not, and we now on sex, but we do have to finish this. But you were saying that men get the same result at the end, but women don't. Talk a little bit about what you mean with that.
Well, I mean, men get an orgasm. It's not necessarily that women do. So at the end of sex, most men always have an orgasm, good, bad, or indifferent, smelly or not, whatever it is. Hey, so I know some folks that have their nose crushed up and stuff. It happens.
Get through it.
Hey, but
Fight your way through it, bro. Fight your way through it.
But at the end of the day, they still have an orgasm. Most women don't even know what an orgasm is.
Wow.
Most women have never had an orgasm.
Most women have never been with a real man then.
Well,
because a real man is going to find a way to bring that woman to completion or her sexual needs. So, I mean, and the thing about it is, a real man's going to understand that the way to get that woman to that point of orgasm might start early that morning when you call and see how her day is going to work.
Exactly.
Because women are such mental, right. That's foreplay is all day.
Exactly.
And the coochie got to be warmed up if you're going to put it out there like that.
Well,
You can't sip on the tea.
But you're absolutely right. But like I say, most women have never experienced an orgasm.
Okay.
I agree. It's not a good thing that they haven't, but they haven't. And so a lot of women are turned off to sex because they never experienced. They don't really know what the feeling of having good sex is.
Right.
They have no idea. So they're like, I just don't want to do it. I know women. I'm like, what do you mean you have a man at home and you don't want to have sex? I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I know lots of people like that too. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I don't.
Yeah.
So
and I don't know. I don't know a lot of people. I mean, it's like a dot.
I don't even want to. How you get into that world?
Let me kind of think. Like I don't know people in that situation where hey, you got a man at home, the sex is horrible. I don't. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, when I've been sexually active in the past, I found that a lot of men don't take their time and try to make you feel good. It's always let's just get in there and get it done.
Because they trying to get down.
Yeah, exactly. The whole idea of foreplay, like he was saying, is might start earlier in the day or with a compliment or some attention or when I said that sex wasn't that important, I think my experiences have been rather negative in that area, and so that's probably why I feel the way I do.
But why do you think it ends up being a negative like that? And I have my own answer to the question, but why do you think it ends up? What is the root of why it's a negative? Why it ends up being a negative situation, whether it be emotionally or be sexually? Why does it end up being a bad thing? You think? What is the root reason?
The root reason?
Yeah.
It's probably the men I'm choosing.
You know what? I could agree, but at the same time, I think it's communication. I'm willing to bet you anybody that thinks of a negative experience they've had with any human being, there was an area of bad or lack of communication that took place.
And what's bad? I think that's something that we.
Well, bad is if the communication between me and you is not going to give me benefit. And then you're not able to compromise with what I need beneficially to get out of this meeting, whether it be physical, whether it be business, whatever. To me, that's bad communication. You have too many people, male and female these days, from what I've seen, that do a lot of assuming. Not enough asking, because when you ask a question, you have to make yourself vulnerable to rejection.
Right.
So most people, male and female, just don't want to do that. So they go through the date night and they assume, okay, I'm going to have a good time and I can just go home. That's going to happen. The other person assuming I'm going to spend $60 on the chick and her leg's going to be 1 and 2.
$60.
Man, hey, $20 to get you in most places.
Well, you said earlier, shoot, $2.99 at McDonald's.
Man, that happened to the value man.
I do want to follow up on something that I think it was a comment, but I think it's something that's really worth exploring. You were talking about, you would possibly desire to be married one day. It's not that you're anti-marriage. You enjoy who you are. You know who you are. I guess what I'm asking, what I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about is what would it take for you to be willing to marry a man that you meet? What are you looking for?
For me, I am looking for someone who is compassionate. He has to be a God-loving person. I personally would like someone who has either older children or grown children, because my only child is grown. So I'm not trying to be anybody's stepmother. I'm looking for a man who is settled.
He's 70 years old. He's gonna be 38, 39.
He's gonna have a walking Viagra.
If he's rich, that's like that walker gonna roll.
You could say the child part.
Well,
She's 41. She got a grown child.
Equally yoked.
Is that a grown child?
I want to be equally yoked. And I'm not saying that if they have small children that I would necessarily.
But that's your preference.
That's right.
And that's what we're talking about.
Someone who has older children, teenagers, or grown children. That would be my preference. Now, I won't lie. When you start saying you got a 3-year-old and you 40, you got a 3-year-old, my ears shut down because I travel. I do a lot of stuff, and I
can't do that. You got to deal with the kid. Yeah.
I can't go to Little League and be in Seattle. I can't do both. So, and it has to be what makes me happy. So, but most of all, it's about the person that he is. Like I say, he has to be God-fearing. He has to be someone who knows what he wants in life and not just, kind of flying by the seat of his pants.
Okay, what about you? I mean, you said you're not necessarily looking for marriage, but you do want that one person. What would make you say, okay, this is the one?
Well, I think if he were compassionate, like she was saying, I'm looking for someone that can allow me to be the person that I want to be, and again, allowing me to have my own life and enjoy the things that I enjoy. And I think that I would also want him to be, and I know this might sound kind of shallow, but I do believe in physical attraction.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And
y'all got to be able to look at it.
Yeah.
Look at
some chemistry. Some chemistry. Because like I said, once I get in these conversations with these guys, it's all very shallow and, nothing really with substance. And so I like someone with some depth.
Mm-hmm. Just to speak to that, I know earlier you were mentioning that a lot of the dates that you've had have been very early dates. I mean, it would be a turnoff for me for someone to tell me something very, very, very deep on date 1 or 2. Because and this is just me personally, I would feel a little bit rushed. And maybe it's because, my personality, I don't tell people a whole lot of stuff. So I think for me, that would be a little bit of a turnoff. That could be a challenge because there may be an expectation that you're going to tell them the same level of something. So it's just something to consider and something to think about.
Yeah, and this is ultimately for someone that I would want to have a long-term relationship with.
Right.
Not necessarily on the first date diving into something serious, but I've been, like I said, just continuously disappointed at the experiences that I've had. The men, the lack of conversation, the inattentiveness, and it's just, it's been in more than one experience for me.
What would you want him to do? Because you were saying like a person is inattentive. So I'm just trying to figure out like what
Well,
are they
I
not
watching
doing that you
TV
want them to
over
do?
my head.
You want them paying attention.
Paying attention, asking me questions, not just having me guide the conversation the whole time.
Actually be engaged.
Yeah, exactly. To be engaged in the conversation.
What you say, though?
Just like this.
He was looking at the fine artwork over your head at the time.
That's okay.
Do you have? Can I ask a question? Do you have the experience of meeting men that have some mental issues? Because when I find crazy, I get on the other side of the street. But I run across a lot of men, and they say it's women that we have these issues. But I'm like, oh no, oh no. Your name on there. They know who you are. So have you had that experience where you've met some people and you're like, I'm not really sure if you are sane?
Oh yeah, I've been in a relationship with them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the mental issue thing is on both sides of the fence.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm noticing. I think it's kind of like dealing with people from that are battle weary. As we get older and we date people that are somewhere in our age bracket, they've already been in X number of relationships that they're sitting with you because relationships didn't work out. So if they're doing that, man, people got baggage. They already been screwed up and just mentally jacked up.
But I can't take on your baggage.
I can't either. I mean, I think it. Look, I got a counselor and a psychiatrist in this phone right now. I'm willing to give it out. God, thank you. And after this for Tuesday, I'm solving on these ones.
As long as you ain't got a prescription, we might be all right. Wait, we have a question. We have a question here. We are all guys over 40. So it says, do you
change yourself in any way to engage in a relationship? And if so, do you change back when single?
Wow.
So what this person is saying is basically, do you create a facade? Are you what you need to be to make this relationship forget what it is that you're trying to get?
I think everybody does that.
No, I don't know about change.
I'm 100.
Now I would say this. I believe that things come in stages. Everybody doesn't need to know every aspect of who you are.
Right.
And sometimes when you come out the box, especially for women, when you come out the box,
you mean the assertive?
No, I'm not being aggressive. Assertive and aggressive is different. But I think when you just kind of put it all out there from the very beginning, that can be a turnoff.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that you have to understand the person that you're dealing with. But again, that goes back to, are you willing to be invested in that time? Are you willing to get to know the person, to see, okay, this is how this person is, this, and this and the other. I mean, if I sat back and I looked at myself 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I was a totally different person. Mm-hmm. When I say a totally different person,
we all evolve, hopefully.
Hopefully we do. But sometimes people, they're phony, though. I mean, that's just the reality.
No, a lot of times people are phony.
But what he's talking about is facade.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between, lying about who and what you are, as opposed to what I was making reference to is, when you go to a relationship situation or, just going out with somebody, you're going to put your best foot forward and you're pretty much going on an interview. And, I interview pretty well. It takes about 6 months for you to realize I'm nuttier than a fruitcake in December. So,
Let's see you in that CVS drive. Keep your legs.
Give me my third prescription. I don't need number 2 and number 1. Give me 3, and they know you by first name. Gareth, we got which one you need today.
That's right.
Yeah,
well, I think that I've definitely put on a facade when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But now that I turned 41 this year, and I'm like, I want someone that's gonna be appreciative of, me being in my sweatpants versus all dolled up all the time, which is how I had relationships where that's the only time we saw each other.
When you were dolled
because
up.
you were here and he was there.
There was no, and they wanted it that way. That was their expectation of me. To come out in a ponytail, no makeup and everything just wasn't an option.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that you, let me not say you, I'll say me. For me, I think it's important for people to understand and appreciate all that I am. Because a lot of times I don't wear makeup. A lot of times I am that lady that wears sweatpants. Now, at the same time, I believe that when you're in a relationship, you need to always be appealing to the person that you're with. If that person does not like sweatpants, I am not going to wear them around my significant other because I know that that's not something that he likes.
Right.
And that's what I think that we have to, as we get older, we get set in our ways. We say, hey, look at me. Hey, I'm good. But you're not good if you want to be in a relationship. There's some compromising that you have to do. There's a level of understanding that I think that you have to have. But I also think that you have to come to a level of self-awareness. Now, I'm talking like it's easy, but it took me 30 years to even understand that that's what even I needed to do.
Right.
If I want to, wake up at 60 in a great relationship, then I had to make some significant changes in myself. And I'm still making those changes. This from a person who has no food, right? But realistically, I think that that's something that we have to think about. We have to think about what is it that person needs. And I think if we spend the time to say, I'm just going to focus on you and what you need, if both people are doing that, then you're going to be happy. That person's going to focus on your needs. You're going to focus on their needs. What do the men think, Gareth?
I don't know what men think. I know what I think.
What do you think?
I'm not Steve Martin. I think
You probably should.
No. What do men think in general about what?
You was just like, I felt like you were, like an X-ray.
I was receiving what you put down. That sounds good.
I agree with Letonya.
Yeah, I kind of felt like there was some tactic.
No, I think that's good. But, I'm gonna tell you what I was saying. I want to disapprove. Let me tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking that in general, a lot of times, most men we're not groomed to know how to dress appropriately inside of closed quarters with our significant other. Most men don't, get your matching pajama set, top and bottom.
And get rid of the granny drawers.
Right. The who?
The granny drawers.
I was going to get you say that.
Yeah, get rid of the granny drawers. And men, get rid of the tighty whities. That's all I'm saying.
No man should be wearing any Fruit of the Loom past 8.
Oh, my. I'm just saying. Ain't no wrong with that.
No, there's something wrong with that. Fruit of the Loom.
I'm saying ain't no wrong with getting rid of them.
Oh, yeah, get rid of that.
We have another question.
The Lord have mercy.
The hospitality suite has now sent a question.
Okay. They're always saying that if you stop wearing the sweatpants, you are not being yourself.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's true.
Really? I have to agree
because
no,
I think that that's absolutely true because there were times when I wanted to be more relaxed, but I knew that they wanted, the whole made up and hair done and everything. And so, but I would have preferred to have someone that I could relax with. I've only had one relationship where I think he was very accepting of that part of my personality. And it was a great relationship, but I do think that you're giving up a part of yourself if you can't be in your sweats once in a while in front of your,
I think the key phrase is once in a while. There's a word.
Not all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you're dealing with a man that has a problem with you ever being,
right,
out of your dolled up state, then something wrong.
Right.
That is somebody going to CVS.
Getting some meds.
Yeah. More than likely, I can tell you.
I have to wholeheartedly agree because I'm that sweatpants kind of girl. So.
Not today.
Y'all need to see her skirt, not
right. And it's her birthday.
And it's her birthday.
But usually I am, I'm with sweatpants. I put my hair up today, but I usually, have my hair down. I don't usually wear makeup unless I'm, doing something. I'm out and about and doing something special. I'm just a round the waist kind of girl. I enjoy comfort. You won't very suddenly see me in heels unless I'm doing some type of event. I usually have on some flip flops. I live in Florida now. I have on flip flops. That does not take away from my femininity. I'm still feminine. I still, keep myself. My hygiene is very good. I smell good.
Yeah.
So I don't think that what I wear, and that's another issue that I have with women in clothes, because if I'm dressed up in my short dress like I have on the day, does that make me a hooker? You know what I'm saying? Because we allow clothes to define people. Clothes don't define a person. It's the person that you are inside. And so when I said earlier I don't put on facades, because I may put on different clothes, but I'm still the same person.
Right.
Okay.
But I think but again, I'm gonna have to disagree just a little bit, ladies, because for me, it's less of an issue about I need to be comfortable. If somebody does not like that, it's certain things I don't like to see a man that I'm dating wear. Like baggy, jeans hanging all down. I don't like that.
I wouldn't even date them. No.
But think about it though. But then you can't have it both ways. If they say, look, this is how I dress, this is me, this is what makes me comfortable, and you don't want to give up your sweats, and they don't want to give up the you know what I'm saying? Now it really comes down to, do we really want to have this conversation, about I need to wear my sweats and you need to be okay? Because I hear a lot of women say that. Well, I wear my sweats because I have to be comfortable. It's a whole lot of ways to be comfortable without wearing sweatpants. Like, I personally know somebody that loves tights. I don't like tights that much, right? How big is she? No, I'm talking about a man. Like, I know a man.
With tights.
He loves to see women. He loves to see women in tights, right? Now, to me,
he likes to see women in tights.
Yeah, he likes to see women in tights. But that's worse to me than wearing sweatpants. Tights are.
No, that's a whole different situation.
I think it's according to, your personal beliefs.
Right.
In corporate America, they don't like for people to wear capris. I love capris. So, but as long as I'm nice and dressed nice and appropriate, what difference does it make if my pants come all the way down to my ankles or not? So it's according to, your personal beliefs when it comes to style.
Yes, and that.
Okay.
You don't type my nails now.
No more questions from the hospitality suite. But we all know, and some of us sort of hit on this in the previous conversation about baggage in relationships. What has been the panel's experience with baggage in relationships, in a new relationship?
Well, my experience has been, I said earlier, when you see crazy, I get on the other side of the street. And for me, a lot of men, when I meet them, I remember meeting one guy and his wife had left him and she took the dog and the salt and pepper shakers. And she took it all. And so he was really, still there. Yeah. And I certainly understood that. But, and this has been years ago, so I was a lot younger at the time. But what I had to realize was, and the same thing that I had to do, you need to step back and heal yourself. You need to, date yourself and love yourself some before you can get into another relationship. Because I said this earlier in the green room, we take this baggage from one relationship to another and wonder why none of these relationships work. Right. Well, look, first, I'm big on this. Love yourself first and foremost. And a lot of people can say it, but they don't really mean it.
I agree with you. And I think that what happens sometimes is, especially when you talk about taking baggage from one relationship together. I know for a long time, I wouldn't date a man if he was divorced. He had to be divorced at least a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Like, I was just like, nah, you got way too much going on. You know what I'm saying? Bad experience here or there, because what happens is what you just said. His wife left him. He took the dog. She took the dog, the salt and pepper shaker. She might have took the luggage set. Mm-hmm. It's always something, but there are all these emotional attachments really still to that relationship. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily to the person, but to that failure that they feel that they have. And so what happens is, if you cut your eyes the way that she used to, now they start seeing you as her. Mm-hmm. and vice versa. So for me, that just became a concern. Like, it just got to the point, I'm like, oh God. But once you get older, after a while, you ain't gonna find nobody who, at least women, we're not gonna find anybody who hadn't at least been married.
Right.
And you're probably right about that. I think that there are very few, but even going back to earlier when you said the guy with the baggy jeans, me personally, if you wear your pants off your ass, I'm not going to date you. Zero. It's just not going to happen. So we as women have to have standards that are okay for us. And that does not necessarily mean, because I know women, they have this laundry list, you got to be this. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to have a standard for you. What's good for you? If you got, I have a 24-year-old son, so if you got your pants hanging off your behind, I am not gonna be your mama, because that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be like, pull your pants up. That's not gonna be a good relationship. So
No, not start that.
Okay, let me chime in on baggage. Y'all just talking all of me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Assert yourself, man.
Yes.
Whatever. All right, cool. So baggage, and I like listen, and then I can respond. Right? But baggage, this is where I think men in general have it more correct than most women. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of men,
we'll tell you why you're wrong.
we're more prone to be viewed as dogs, because we're looking more so for physical situations as opposed to emotional. This is why I say that. The more you connect yourself emotionally with this individual, that doesn't work out. This individual, that doesn't work out. This individual, that doesn't work out. You take baggage that you cannot get rid of from all three of those people, and then you keep building on that. Now, if
you can't get rid of it.
But some people, it's very difficult.
I'm not saying it's not difficult.
They become comfortable.
Well, and I'm not saying that.
I run into more people in general, male and female, that at some point become complacent in their misery.
And that I agree with. But that's standard.
But that's why it's important. That's why it's so important that you take your time and be more cautious about who you develop a relationship with, because you have a tendency to carry baggage from that idiot if they turn out to be an idiot. As opposed to a lot of men will play the non-emotional role and just try to have sex with whoever they want to have sex with and leave the emotions at home. So if this chick ends up being crazy, they cut it off like, I was just hitting it, wasn't nothing to me, no way. I'm headed back home to my emotions. I'm cool.
See, yeah, but I need to understand why that's okay for a man, but not for a woman.
It's not okay. It's not okay for either one.
Okay, because I would say I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I don't necessarily do, because there have been guys, you're a booty call, and that's all you are.
You don't want the double standard.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But I'm rare. Most men are not gonna view it that way. Most men are going to view it as it's okay for me to do it. But if a man sleeps with 10 women, a woman sleeps with 2, she's a hoe, the man's a man.
Exactly.
I think they both hoes.
No, they are. You're absolutely
but even
I think it's how it was done that makes you a person of loose hair.
Oh, well, go ahead.
I kind of expect there's going to be some baggage. I mean, I mean, I'm sure I bring some of mine into the mix too. Okay, good. But I think that I expect a certain amount, but I feel like as long as it's being worked on, I've had men that have been cheated on, for example, and they bring that, have brought that into like everything I do is suspicious, and if I'm not there to take their phone calls, I'm not gonna live like that. That's ridiculous. But that's their baggage. I think as long as they're trying to work on it.
Yes.
Okay,
that worked out. You got to work on it. Me. Yeah, and we're starting a relationship, and you don't trust. We don't have trust. What we got?
You got nothing.
Yeah.
Now we hit him and quit it at that point.
Yeah, that's a booty call. No, but I think, but the point that she's making, I think, is very valid, because what happens is you're being held accountable for the things that someone else, the other person did. Exactly. And realistically, if you clocking me like that, it may make me want to go and look at somebody else, because it's like you're stressing me out too much. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
not make me want to be single.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about deciding that you're gonna go and cheat or anything.
Some people
like
use
that
as an excuse. Yeah, definitely. I used to use that as an excuse.
Yeah,
I used to date women that would give me that back door in their personalities to where I could justify going out and being involved with another woman. Now I know that a lot of people don't check themselves enough. See, that's the good thing about going to therapy. A lot of people don't check themselves enough to know where they've been messed up before. I realized years ago I was purposely dating women that had the same emotionless flaw. So when she got emotionless, I go through my phone or my pager at that time. So I was like, hold on, and I would look through who else I want to hook up with that night because she messed up for me.
Well, and that speaks to a larger issue, which is a pattern of conduct, because when you do, not you personally, but when you do, yeah, when you do those sorts of things, it does become a part of your reality. I know for me, I went through this change. I made this metamorphosis, but my strategy didn't change in terms of the type of men that I'm attracted to, the type of people that I date, what I like. I mean, I'll just be, transparent in the sense to say I like something that looks good. It's got to look good to me. Women typically are more emotional creatures. A lot of people tell me I think like a man, I guess. Mm-hmm. However, I know that. But because of that, not saying I'm going to look for ugly or ugly to me, but I realize that sometimes that can cloud my judgment a little bit because I like certain things. You know what I'm saying? I like certain things, and if those things that I like are present, I may not pay attention to some other things that I need to be like,
yes, Lord,
all the red flags, red flags be flying like this. We only have a few minutes left, and so what I want to do in these last few minutes is, first of all, thank you guys so much. This has been a fabulous show. To the viewers, I apologize for the technical difficulties, and for the people that didn't get a chance to see it, that had chimed in earlier, we certainly appreciate your support as well. But we're going to take some time. Jean, we'll start with you. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're doing, how viewers can find out a little bit more about, just keep in touch with you and what you're going to be doing coming up.
Okay. Well, I'm currently, I teach college, and I'm currently working on a book called Things I've Learned Along the Way. And it's a book about the tidbits of information that I've gained throughout my life experience and sharing that with other people. And but I can be reached at jeanday319@yahoo.com. I have a Facebook page called Things I've Learned Along the Way, where you can follow all the work, the radio and TV that I do.
Awesome. Yolanda?
My name is Yolanda M. Tucker. I'm an author and sexpert, professional speaker, love stuff. I just released my 4th book, December 15th, and it's entitled Pink Pussy, Pies, and Peanut Butter. And that book is,
you see Kermit sipping on his tea over here.
That book is available on the X-rated red sheet.
It is available on Amazon.com, actually.
But that book is actually about woman empowerment. Women, we always say that men think with their little heads, but women get themselves in a lot of trouble thinking with their vagina. Mm-hmm. So I want women to start thinking about sex and who they're having sex with. So again, it's a racy book, but it is a good read. Most people are telling me they're reading it in a day. I'm doing a Kindle special this month for 99 cents. I can be reached at Twitter at MSY Tucker, or Facebook Yolanda M. Tucker.
All right, there.
Every time you start talking, I have to take a minute to get myself back together. All right, who am I?
Oh, Gareth Hunter. You can actually reach me or keep up with me through GarethHunter.com. That's GarethHunter.com. I am a producer, composer, musician, all of that good stuff. I'm also the host of a show called Where Is the Love? We'll start back taping on March 27th for that. But I'm actually finishing up a 4-year project that I'm very proud of that is called Blemishes of Perfection, which is based around relationships. And one of the things that my project is doing is every single release has relationship tools with it. So there's actually a counselor or a relationship expert that takes that video, that song, whatever, and breaks it down as if it were a real relationship and gives tools on what the person or couple can do to fix those problems in their relationship. You can find it there. So GarethHunter.com, you can actually click on everything else from there. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all of this stuff is there. Click away.
And I'm Letonya Moore, of course, your host. I would call myself a Renaissance woman. Like you guys know, I do several different things. Check us out at www.opcoach.tv. You can also find me at LetonyaMoore.com. Well, guys, until next time, this is Real Perspectives, where we seek real people and real issues and real solutions from real perspectives.
Yes. Yes.
Take us out, G. Take us out.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
This is fun.
Yes.
Come on, can't stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I found the
Hit pause
mouse.
where it says
Yeah.
pause
That's that dirty
recording.
old man. Yeah.
Over to the left, pause recording.
Yeah.
I can't see.
All right. I was